The large silver spaceship fell from the night sky. It left a trail of blue light as it dropped toward the mountains of Colorado. Inside the ship, Commander Nira Zevnari gripped her control chair and closed her eyes. This was not how a princess of the 7 nebulae should end her journey. "Life support failing, Commander," said one of her crew members. His blue skin was pale with fear. Nira's violet skin shimmered with stress marks. Her silver-flecked eyes looked at the view screen showing the blue-green planet rushing toward them. "All crew to emergency pods," she ordered. Her voice was calm even though she felt anything but calm. "I will guide the ship down." "But Commander," her second-in-command started to argue. "That was an order," Nira said. "The Empress would expect me to protect our crew." The crew left as Nira turned back to the controls. The ship, called the Luminous Crest, had been badly damaged in a surprise attack. The Scorian hunters had been waiting for them just outside this small solar system. Now her beautiful battlecruiser was falling apart around her. On Earth, Olivia Harrison was looking through her telescope at the Meridian Observatory. She was working late, mapping stars like she did most nights. Olivia loved the quiet of the observatory. Up in the mountains, far from city lights, she could see the stars better than almost anywhere else. Olivia was about to take a break when she saw something strange, a light that moved too fast to be a plane, too big to be a shooting star. "What, in the world?" she whispered. She adjusted her telescope quickly, trying to track the object. When she got it in focus, she gasped. It was clearly not from Earth. The ship was huge and shaped like nothing she had ever seen. Olivia reached for the phone. "Colonel Miller, this is Dr. Harrison at Meridian. You need to see this. Something is about to crash in the mountains north of here." Within an hour, military vehicles rolled up to the observatory. Olivia showed them her recordings of the crash site. A soft blue glow came from the valley 5 miles north. "I'm going with you," Olivia told Colonel Miller. She was already putting on her coat. "This could be dangerous, Dr. Harrison." The colonel warned. "I speak 12 Earth languages and study communication patterns. If that's what I think it is, you'll need me." Olivia picked up her bag. "Besides, I found it first." The colonel knew better than to argue with Olivia. She had helped the military before with strange signals. Her mind worked differently than most people's. The team drove as close as they could to the crash site. Then they hiked the last mile. The trees around them glowed with a soft blue light. The air smelled like metal and something sweet, like cinnamon. "Stay behind me, Colonel," Miller ordered as they came to a clearing. In the center sat the ship. It was still in one piece, though deep cuts ran along its side. The metal skin of the ship rippled with light like water reflecting the sun. A door opened in the side of the ship. Soldiers raised their guns. Olivia moved forward past the colonel. "Wait," he hissed, but she ignored him. A figure appeared in the doorway, tall and slender, with skin the color of twilight. Silver markings ran from her temples down her neck. Her eyes were large, with pupils like a cat's, surrounded by silver flecks that seemed to glow. Nira Zevnari stepped onto Earth soil. She looked at the humans with their weapons and sighed. Always the same, no matter what world she visited. Fear and weapons. Then she noticed the female human walking toward her. This one had no weapon. Her eyes showed curiosity, not fear. "How strange." "Hello," Olivia said. She tried several greeting gestures from old books about possible alien contact. Nira almost smiled. The human was trying so hard. She decided to put her out of her misery. "Your language is simple enough to learn from your broadcasts," she said in perfect English. "No need for hand signals." Olivia stopped, shocked. Then she smiled. "You speak English?" "I speak all the languages my ship detected from your world." Nira looked past Olivia at the soldiers. "I assume I am now your prisoner." Olivia shook her head. "No, we came to help." "Are you hurt? Are there others on your ship?" Nira studied Olivia's face for signs of lying. She found none. How odd. In her experience, all species tried to gain advantage when meeting others. No one simply offered help. My crew escaped in pods. They will be picked up by our rescue ships. Naira winced as pain shot through her side. I stayed to land the ship. You're injured, Olivia said. She turned to the colonel. We need medical help. We can't just take an alien to a hospital, Colonel Miller argued. Then bring a doctor here. Olivia's voice was firm. Nira watched this exchange with interest. The female seemed to have power, even though the male wore the uniform of authority. You should have left me to die with dignity, Nira said as Olivia turned back to her. Your people will be rewarded for returning me to my mother's empire. We didn't come to capture you, Olivia said gently. We came to help. That's what humans do. Nira didn't understand. In her culture, showing weakness meant death. Helping enemies meant betrayal. Yet these humans offered aid with no clear benefit to themselves. As they helped her sit down on a fallen log, Naira studied Olivia closely. Why would you risk yourself for me? I could be dangerous. My blood could be poisoned to you. My ship could explode. Olivia smiled. That's a risk I'm willing to take to meet someone who's crossed the stars. For the first time in her long life, Naira felt confused about her place in the universe. She had been taught that her people, the Zevnari, were superior to all others. That her royal blood made her better than even most Zevnari. Yet here was this human, treating her not as a superior being to be feared or a prize to be captured, but as a person who needed help. What is your name? Naira asked. Olivia Harrison. I'm an astronomer and linguist at Meridian Observatory. Olivia pointed to the lights of a building on a distant hill. I saw your ship fall. I am Commander Naira Zevnari, third daughter to Empress Liernai of the Seven Nebulae. Naira waited for the awe and fear her title usually brought. Olivia just nodded. Nice to meet you, Naira. Let's get that wound looked at. As medical personnel arrived and began to check her injuries, Naira kept her eyes on Olivia. The human female was speaking to the others, arranging shelter and security for the ship. Why would a human ever choose to help me? Naira whispered to herself. The question would echo in her mind in the days to come. The answer would change everything she thought she knew about the universe. 3 months passed since Naira's ship crashed on Earth. The government kept her existence a secret. They moved her ship to a hidden place under the Meridian Observatory where Olivia worked. Only a small team of scientists and soldiers knew about the alien princess. Naira stood watching Olivia work on the ship's broken communication system. The human female had surprised her many times. Olivia understood things about space technology that humans shouldn't know yet. Your species shouldn't be able to understand quantum entanglement at this stage, Naira said. She touched one of the glowing panels on her ship. Your technology is still so primitive. Olivia looked up from her work and smiled. Maybe you underestimate us. This was another thing that confused Naira. Olivia never seemed insulted when Naira said humans were primitive. Most species would be angry at such comments. But Olivia just smiled and kept proving her wrong. Perhaps I do, Naira admitted. She had never said such words to any non-Zevnari before. The underground lab was large enough to hold Naira's ship. Scientists worked all around it, studying the alien technology while helping to repair it. Naira had agreed to share some knowledge in return for their help, but she was careful not to give them anything too advanced. Her mother would already be angry that she had crashed on a developing world. How much longer until the communications array is fixed? Naira asked. A few more days, Olivia said. Then you can call your people. Naira didn't tell Olivia the whole truth. Yes, she wanted to contact her mother's fleet, but she also feared what would happen when she did. Her mother might decide to destroy Earth rather than let humans know about alien life. The Empress did not like loose ends. Suddenly, loud alarms started blaring throughout the facility. Red lights flashed on the walls. What is that? Naira asked, her hand moving to the weapon at her hip. The humans had allowed her to keep it as a sign of trust. Olivia rushed to a computer screen. Her face went pale. Something just entered Earth's atmosphere. Multiple somethings. Colonel Miller ran into the lab, followed by soldiers. Dr. Harrison, we have a situation. Our satellites have detected 6 unknown craft entering orbit. They don't match any known design. Nira felt her blood go cold. Show me. They moved to a large screen that showed radar images of Earth's orbit. 6 black shapes moved in formation toward their location. Scorians, Nira whispered. They found me. Who are they? Olivia asked. Hunters, warriors. Nira turned to face the humans. They attacked my ship before I crashed here. They've been tracking me. Why? Colonel Miller demanded. What do they want? Nira hesitated. She had not told the humans everything about herself. Some secrets were too dangerous. They're not after your planet, she finally said. They're after me. My bloodline carries genetic memories of ancient weapons that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. What she didn't say was that the Scorians weren't the only ones who might come looking for her. Her own mother's assassins might be. On the way too, the Empress couldn't risk her rebellious daughter giving secrets to a new species. How long do we have? Colonel Miller asked. Hours. Maybe less. Nira walked to her ship. I need to leave. Now. If I'm gone, they might spare your world. The ship isn't ready, Olivia argued. The engines are only at 60% power. The ground shook as something hit the mountain above them. Dust fell from the ceiling. They're already here, Nira said. More explosions followed. The lights flickered. People ran in panic as pieces of concrete fell from the ceiling. We need to evacuate, Colonel Miller shouted into his radio. Get everyone out through the emergency tunnels. Nira made a decision. I must leave now. If I stay, they will destroy this entire facility to get to me. Olivia grabbed her arm. Your ship isn't ready. You'll never escape Earth's gravity with damaged engines. I have no choice. Nira tried to pull away, but Olivia held tight. Then I'm coming with you, Olivia said. Nira stared at her. That would be suicide. I've been studying your ship for months. I can help finish repairs while we fly. Olivia turned to Colonel Miller. We need a small team. People who know the ship's systems. The colonel looked like he wanted to argue, but another explosion, closer this time, made the decision for him. Fine, but I'm sending soldiers too. Within minutes, a small team assembled at the ship. Dr. Samantha West, who had studied Nira's biology and helped heal her after the crash. Captain Grace Sullivan, an Air Force pilot who had been learning to fly the alien craft. 2 soldiers for protection, Colonel Miller and Olivia. This is madness, Nira said as they boarded her ship. Why would you risk yourselves? Because that's what humans do for people they care about, Olivia replied. Nira didn't understand these words. In her culture, caring was a weakness. Royalty. Didn't care for anyone but themselves and their power, yet she found herself glad that these humans were coming with her. As they sealed the ship's doors, the ceiling of the lab collapsed. Black armored figures dropped through the hole, Scorian hunters, their masked faces turning toward the ship. Start the engines, Nira shouted. Grace jumped into the pilot's seat, her hands moving over the glowing controls. She had been training in flight simulators based on Nira's ship for weeks. Engines at 65%, Grace reported. We can take off, but it won't be pretty. Just get us out of here, Colonel Miller ordered. The ship hummed to life. Its damaged hull still rippled with light, but dimmer than before. The Scorians fired energy weapons that bounced off the ship's shields. Shields at 40%, Samantha called from another control panel. She had learned the ship's medical and defense systems. Nira took the command chair in the center of the bridge. For a moment, she felt like herself again. A commander, a princess, not a refugee hiding on a primitive world. Take us up, Captain Sullivan, she ordered. Grace nodded and pushed the controls forward. The ship shuddered, then rose. The Scorians fired again, but too late. The ship burst through the collapsing ceiling and into the night sky. Olivia stood next to Nira's chair, watching the view screen as Earth fell away beneath them. The blue-green planet looked so peaceful from space. They'll follow us, Nira said, quietly. I know, Olivia replied, but we have a head start. On the screen, they could see the black Scorian ships rising from Earth's atmosphere behind them. "Why are they so determined to find you?" Olivia asked. Nira sighed. It was time for the full truth. "My people, the Zevnari, ruled this galaxy for thousands of years. We have technology your people can't imagine. The Scorians were once our servants, but they rebelled. There was a war. My ancestors created weapons that could destroy entire star systems. And you know how to make these weapons?" Colonel Miller asked, his voice sharp. "Not exactly, but the knowledge is in my blood. My genetic code contains memories that can be extracted." Naira looked away. "My mother, the Empress, keeps me and my sisters as living vaults of forbidden knowledge." "That's horrible," Samantha said. Nira shrugged. "It is our way. But I never wanted to be just a vessel for ancient secrets. I became a ship commander to see the galaxy for myself." Another alarm sounded. The ship's sensors showed more vessels appearing at the edge of the solar system. "More Scorians?" Grace asked from the pilot's seat. Nira checked the readings and felt fear for the first time since the crash. "No, worse. Those are my mother's ships. Imperial warships of the Stellar Confederacy." Everyone looked at her. "You said your people would come to rescue you," Colonel Miller said, his hand moving toward his weapon. "They're not here to rescue me," Nira said softly. "They're here to make sure I don't share any secrets with your species." She looked at each of the humans. "My mother will destroy your entire planet to keep the Empire's secrets. Then we need to get far away from Earth," Olivia said, understanding immediately. "Lead them away." Nira nodded. "But where can we go? The Scorians want me dead. My mother wants me silent. There is nowhere in the known galaxy that is safe." Olivia placed her hand on Nira's shoulder. The touch was strange to the princess. No one touched royalty without permission. "Then we'll find somewhere unknown," Olivia said with a confidence Nira couldn't understand. "The galaxy is a big place. There must be somewhere we can hide while we figure this out." As the ship accelerated away from Earth, Naira watched the humans working together. They spoke quickly, sharing ideas, arguing, but listening to each other. No one bowed to her or asked her permission. It was nothing like her mother's court where fear ruled everything. "Your species is strange," she told Olivia. "You should be terrified, yet you act as if we can win against impossible odds." Olivia smiled. "That's kind of our specialty." For the first time since the crash, Nira felt something new. Not fear or anger or pride. Something warm and unfamiliar. Hope. The luminous crest shot through space, leaving Earth's solar system behind. Inside the ship, Nira watched as Grace Sullivan handled the controls with surprising skill. For a human who had never flown a starship before, the Air Force captain learned quickly. "The Imperial ships are staying near Earth," Grace reported, looking at the sensor screen. "But the Scorian vessels are following us." "My mother probably ordered her ships to wait," Naira said. "She will want to know where I go before she decides what to do with your planet." Colonel Miller frowned. "So Earth is still in danger?" "Yes," Naira admitted. "But the longer we stay away, the safer your world will be. My mother is patient. She might wait years before acting." The humans exchanged worried looks. They had saved themselves but put their entire planet at risk. "We need a plan," Olivia said. "Somewhere to go where both the Scorians and your mother's forces won't find us." Nira moved to the ship's navigation system. A holographic map of the galaxy appeared in the air. Thousands of stars and planets glowed in the darkness. "We are here," she said, pointing to a small area at the edge of one spiral arm. "My mother's empire controls most of this region." Her hand swept across nearly a quarter of the galaxy. "The Scorians control these systems." Another large section lit up. "That doesn't leave much," Samantha observed. "There are other powers. The mercantile worlds. The Silicon consciousness. The Void monks." Naira pointed to different areas. "But none would risk the Empress's anger by sheltering me." "What about unexplored space?" Olivia suggested, pointing to dark areas between the glowing regions. Naira shook her head. "There are reasons those areas remain unexplored. Black holes. Radiation zones. Dead worlds. The ship shuddered as something hit their shields. Scorian scout ship within firing range, Grace called out. Shields holding at 30%. We need to jump to faster than light travel, Naira ordered. Are the engines ready? Olivia checked the engine readings. We're at 70%. Power. We can make one jump, but then we'll need to stop for repairs. One jump will have to be enough. Naira took the command chair. Captain Sullivan, prepare for hyperspace jump. Grace nodded and began the sequence they had practiced in simulations. The stars on the view screen began to stretch into lines. Where are we going? Colonel Miller asked. Nira hesitated. Then she pointed to a region at the edge of the map. The outer void. Few ships go there. The navigation is treacherous. Sounds perfect, Grace said with a grim smile. Her hands moved over the controls, and the ship lurched forward. The stars became streaks of light, and then they were in hyperspace, moving faster than light itself. The Scorian ships couldn't follow immediately. They would need to calculate their own jump. We have a few hours before they can track us, Nira said. We should use that time to repair what we can. The humans nodded and went to work. Samantha checked the medical bay and shield generators. Colonel Miller and his soldiers secured the weapons systems. Grace monitored their course. Olivia and Naira went to the engine room to work on repairs. As they worked side by side, Naira found herself watching Olivia. The human female showed no fear in this strange situation. She worked calmly, learning alien technology as if she had been born to it. Your species is chaotic, Naira said after a while. You act on emotion rather than logic. You trust without verification. By all rational standards, you should have been extinct millennia ago. Olivia laughed. Maybe there's more to survival than just logic. This was a new idea to Naira. Her people valued logic, order, and control above all things. Emotion was seen as a weakness, especially for royalty. Perhaps, Naira admitted, but chaos rarely survives the cold emptiness of space. Yet here we are, Olivia said, gesturing around them. Humans in a spaceship crossing the stars. Seems like chaos is doing. Okay. Before Naira could respond, an alarm sounded throughout the ship. They rushed back to the bridge. What's happening? Naira demanded. Grace looked up from the controls, her face pale. We're losing power to the hyperspace engines. We need to drop back to normal space or we'll break apart. Do it, Naira ordered. The ship shuddered violently as Grace cut the engines. The streaks of light on the view screen shortened and became stars again. Where are we? Colonel Miller asked. Naira checked the navigation system. We're in the outer void as planned, but we're still 2 systems away from where I intended to stop. Olivia looked at the engine readings. The power couplings are fried. We need to replace them before we can jump again. Can we make the repairs? Naira asked. Yes, but we'll need materials. Some kind of conductive metal that can handle the energy flow. Olivia studied the schematics of the engine. I'm not sure Earth metals would work. Naira looked at the star map. There's a mining outpost in this system. It's not part of any major power. They might have what we need. Is it safe? Colonel Miller asked. Nowhere is truly safe for us, Naira replied. But it's our best option. Grace set course for the mining outpost. As they approached, they saw it was built into a small moon orbiting a gas giant. Dozens of ships of different designs were docked at the station. This place looks rough, Samantha commented as they approached. It's a frontier outpost, Naira explained. No laws except those enforced by whoever has the most money or the biggest weapons. So like the Wild West in space, Grace said with a small smile. I don't understand that reference, Naira said. It's from human history, Olivia explained. A lawless frontier where people made their own rules. Then yes, like your Wild West, they docked at the station with their ship's ID beacons turned off. Naira couldn't risk anyone recognizing a royal vessel. We need disguises, she told the humans. My species isn't common, but I'll be recognized as Zevnari. And you are, well, humans aren't known in this part of the galaxy. We'll stand out no matter what, Colonel Miller said. Best to keep our group small. Who's going? I must. Go, Nira said. I know what we need and how to negotiate here. I'll go too, Olivia volunteered. I need to see the materials to know if they'll work. And me, Grace added, in case there's trouble. Colonel Miller nodded. The rest of us will stay with the ship. Be careful. Nira found clothing for them in the ship's storage. Long robes, with hoods to cover their faces. Gloves for the humans to hide their 5 fingers as most species had more or fewer. Stay close to me, Nira warned as they prepared to leave the ship. Don't speak unless necessary. If anyone asks, you are my servants from the outer colonies. The mining station was loud, crowded, and smelled of metal and alien spices. Beings of all shapes and sizes moved through narrow corridors. Some looked almost human. Others were completely alien, floating gas clouds, insect-like creatures, beings, made of living crystal. Nira led them confidently through the crowds. Though she was a princess, she had commanded ships for 50 years and knew the rougher parts of space. They found a parts dealer in a small shop off the main corridor. The owner was a 6-armed being with purple scales and eyes on stalks. What you seek? It asked in broken trade language. Nira described the parts they needed. The dealer's eye stalks waved excitedly. Rare, expensive, it chittered. We can pay, Nira said, showing a handful of small crystal shards. Universal currency in this part of space. The dealer took them to a back room filled with ship parts. Olivia moved through the piles of technology, examining pieces with a careful eye. This might work, she said, holding up a length of silvery metal. And these power regulators. They haggled over the price. Nira was good at it, having watched traders in her mother's court all her life. Finally, they agreed on a price and gathered their purchases. As they turned to leave, the shop door slammed shut. The dealer's friendly manner vanished. Know who you are, it hissed at Nira. Zevnari princess. Big reward. Grace's hand moved to her hidden weapon, but Nira stopped her. How much? Nira asked calmly. More than you have, the dealer said. Already called collectors. Olivia stepped forward. We need those parts, and we need you not to tell anyone you saw us. The dealer laughed, a harsh clicking sound. Too late? No, Olivia said. It's not. She pulled a small device from her pocket. Something she had made from Earth and alien technology. This will fry every computer in your shop, including the ones that store your money records. The dealer's eye stalks went rigid with alarm. You bluff, it said, but sounded uncertain. Want to find out? Olivia's finger hovered over the button. After a tense moment, the dealer's shoulders slumped. Take parts, go, but hurry. Others coming soon. They rushed back through the station, keeping their heads down. But as they approached their docking bay, they saw a group of armed beings blocking the entrance. Scorian agents, Nira whispered. They must have tracked us here. Is there another way to our ship? Grace asked. Nira looked around. Perhaps through the maintenance tunnels. They ducked into a side corridor just as one of the Scorians looked their way. The maintenance tunnel was narrow and dark. They crawled through it, pushing the parts ahead of them. Almost there, Nira whispered. The tunnel should open near our docking clamp. When they emerged, they could see their ship just 20 meters away. But between them and the ship stood a single Scorian hunter, its black armor gleaming in the dim light. I'll distract it, Grace said. You two get to the ship. 2 weeks passed as the luminous crest jumped from system to system, always one step ahead of their pursuers. The ship's sensors detected Scorian vessels behind them and Imperial scouts ahead. There seemed to be nowhere safe to go. We're running, out of options, Colonel Miller said during their daily meeting on the bridge. We can't keep jumping forever. The engines need a proper repair facility. Nira looked at the star map floating between them. Red dots showed enemy ships closing in from multiple directions. We need somewhere neither the Scorians nor my mother's forces will follow, she said. Olivia studied the map. Her eyes narrowed, in thought. What's this? She asked, pointing to a large red cloud that took up a section of the map. No star systems were marked within it. The Crimson Veil Nebula, Naira replied. It's forbidden territory. The radiation there destroys both organic matter and technology. No ships enter it. Then it's perfect, Grace said, looking up from her pilot's chair. Her injured leg was healing well. Naira shook her head. It's not perfect, it's suicide. The nebula will kill us. Maybe, Samantha said, joining the conversation. But I've been studying your biology and ours. There might be a way to protect ourselves from the radiation. Even if we survive, the ship won't, Naira argued. The nebula's energy fields will fry our systems. Olivia walked around the map thinking, what if we modify the shields, the same way we adapted them to hide from Scorian sensors? It might work, Naira admitted after a moment, but it would take days to make the changes, days we don't have. Another alarm sounded. Grace checked the sensors. Scorian battlecruiser just jumped into the system. They'll be in weapons range in 2 hours. Colonel Miller straightened his shoulders. Then we have 2 hours to prepare for the nebula. It's our only chance. Everyone moved quickly after that. Samantha worked on a compound to help them resist the nebula's radiation. Olivia and Naira modified the ship's shields. Grace plotted their course to the edge of the Crimson Veil. Colonel Miller and his soldiers prepared the weapons just in case. The compound is ready, Samantha announced, carrying vials of blue liquid. Each of us needs to drink one. It should help our cells resist the radiation effects. Should? Colonel Miller asked. Samantha shrugged. It's the best I can do with what we have. They each drank a vial. It tasted bitter and made Naira's throat burn. The shield modifications are done, Olivia reported. But I don't know if they'll hold once we're inside. Scorian ship is closing, Grace called from the pilot's seat. 1 hour until they reach us. We can't wait any longer, Naira decided. Captain Sullivan, take us into the nebula. Grace nodded and turned the ship toward the massive red cloud that filled half the view screen. Even from a distance, they could see energy storms flashing within it, like lightning in earth clouds. Everyone secure yourselves, Naira ordered. This will be rough. They strapped into chairs as Grace guided the ship toward the nebula's edge. Behind them, the Scorian battlecruiser fired its engines to maximum, trying to catch them before they reached the forbidden zone. They're gaining on us, Colonel Miller reported, watching the sensor screen. They're desperate, Naira said. They know we'll be beyond their reach once we enter the nebula. The first wisps of red gas touched their ship. The hull creaked ominously. Shield modification holding at 90%, Olivia said, watching the readings. 30 seconds until the Scorians are in weapons range, Colonel Miller called out. The ship plunged deeper into the nebula. Red gas surrounded them now, glowing eerily. The view screen flickered with static. They're firing, Miller shouted. Energy. Beams cut through the nebula behind them, but the Scorians were too late. The thick gas absorbed their weapons fire. We're in, Grace said, her voice tight with concentration as she navigated through swirling clouds of red. The ship shuddered violently. Warning lights flashed across all control panels. Shield modifications failing, Olivia reported. Down to 60%. Main power fluctuating, Colonel Miller added. Navigation systems going offline. Naira felt fear grip her heart. She had led these humans into death, all because she wanted to escape her fate. I'm sorry, she said, looking at each of them. I should never have brought you here. Olivia reached across and took her hand. The touch was warm and steady. We chose to come. All of us. The ship lurched again. More systems failed. The lights dimmed, then came back at half strength. We need to find somewhere to land before we lose all power, Grace said, fighting with the controls. Land where? Miller asked. There's nothing in this nebula but gas and radiation. But as they pushed deeper into the Crimson Veil, something appeared on their damaged sensors. A solid mass within the gas clouds. Is that a planet? Samantha asked, leaning forward to see better. Indeed it was. A green and blue world, somehow existing within the deadly nebula. That's impossible, Naira whispered. No planet could form in these conditions. Maybe it was here before the nebula, Olivia suggested. Or maybe the nebula protects it somehow. They had no time to debate. The ship was failing around them. Grace guided them toward the mysterious planet as more systems shut down. "Brace for rough landing," she called out as they entered the planet's atmosphere. The ship fell more than flew through clouds that shifted from red to white. Grace fought to control their descent, using what little power remained in the engines. They broke through the cloud cover and gasped. Below them stretched a landscape of green forests and blue lakes. Mountains rose in the distance. It looked almost like Earth, yet different in subtle ways. The trees had purple leaves. The water seemed to glow slightly. "There." Olivia pointed to a flat area near a lake. "Can you land there?" "I'll try," Grace said through gritted teeth. The landing was hard, but they survived it. The ship skidded across open ground before coming to rest at the edge of a forest. Systems failed one by one until only emergency power remained. For a long moment they sat in silence, hardly believing they were still alive. "We made it," Samantha finally said, her voice filled with wonder. "But where exactly is here?" Colonel Miller asked. They ran tests on the air outside. It was breathable, though it had a sweet smell none of them recognized. The radiation levels were high, but not immediately dangerous. Samantha's compound seemed to be working. "We should explore," Olivia suggested. "Find out if there's anyone or anything living here." Nira agreed, though she felt strange. This place shouldn't exist. Yet here it was, a sanctuary within the deadly nebula. They left the ship, weapons ready just in case. The gravity was slightly lighter than Earth's, making each step feel bouncy. The air tasted clean but different. "Look at that." Samantha pointed to a plant with leaves that changed color as they watched, shifting from purple to blue to green. "And that," Grace added, indicating small flying creatures that glowed like fireflies, though it was daytime. They walked for an hour, marveling at the strange beauty around them. Then Olivia stopped suddenly, pointing ahead. "Is that smoke?" A thin line of smoke rose in the distance. "Signs of intelligent life." "We should approach carefully," Colonel Miller said. "We don't know if they're friendly." They moved quietly through the forest, getting closer to the smoke. Soon they could see buildings, structures made of wood and stone and metal, blended together in a style Naira had never seen before. And moving among the buildings were people. Some looked like Naira's species. Others resembled beings from a dozen different worlds. And some looked human. "Impossible," Naira whispered. "Humans haven't traveled this far into the galaxy." They watched from the forest edge, trying to understand what they were seeing. The different species moved among each other peacefully. They worked together, talked together. "Should we make contact?" Olivia asked. Before they could decide, a voice spoke from behind them. "You've already been detected. Please turn around slowly." They turned to see a small group of people watching them. Some held simple weapons, though not pointed at them yet. But what shocked Nira was that the person who had spoken was human, an older female with dark skin and white hair. "My name is Elder Kayla Rivers," the woman said. "Welcome to Haven." Colonel Miller stepped forward. "I'm Colonel Miller. We're from Earth." The elder's eyes widened. "Earth? Truly?" She looked at them more carefully. "Yes, I see it now. You are from the home world." "You're human," Olivia said in amazement. "But how is that possible?" "My ancestors were brought here long ago," Kayla explained. "Come to our village. We have much to talk about." They followed the group to the village, where more people gathered to see the newcomers. Nira kept her hood up, not wanting to be recognized. As Zevnari royalty, Elder Kayla took them to a large building in the center of the village. Inside was a meeting room with a circular table. They sat down, still wary but curious. "This place shouldn't exist," Nira said, finally lowering her hood. "The nebula should make life impossible." Kayla studied Nira's face. "You are Zevnari." It wasn't a question. "Royal blood by your markings." Nira tensed, ready to run. "But," Kayla just nodded. We have some of your people here too, though none with royal blood. How is this possible? Naira asked again. How can you all live here? 6 months passed in Haven. The luminous crest was almost repaired, enhanced with technology developed by the sanctuary's diverse inhabitants. Naira and her human companions had become part of the community. They learned the ways of this hidden world while sharing their own knowledge. Naira changed the most. The princess who once believed in her divine right to rule now worked alongside people of all species. She taught combat skills to young defenders. She learned to grow food in the village gardens. Most surprisingly to herself, she found joy in these simple tasks. Olivia watched this transformation with quiet happiness. She and Naira spent most of their time together, exploring the sanctuary, talking long into the night. Something deep and unspoken grew between them. You seem at peace here, Olivia said one evening as they sat by a lake that glowed softly in the darkness. I never knew peace before, Naira admitted. In my mother's court, there was only fear and power. Even as a ship commander, I was always fighting or preparing to fight. And now? Naira looked at the water, at the strange luminescent fish swimming near the surface. Now I wonder what else I never knew. What other lies I was told about my place in the universe. Their peaceful time couldn't last forever. One morning alarms sounded throughout the village. Everyone gathered in the central square where Elder Kayla stood with a grim expression. Our outer sensors have detected ships at the edge of the nebula, she announced. Many ships. They're testing the barriers, looking for a way in. Naira felt cold fear grip her heart. Who are they? Both Confederacy and Scorian vessels, Kayla replied, working together. This was unexpected. The Zevnari Empire and the Scorian Collective had been enemies for centuries. They must be desperate to find you, Grace said to Naira, or to destroy this place, Naira countered. My mother fears what Haven represents more than she fears the Scorians. The village council met to discuss options. Naira, Olivia, Grace, Samantha, and Colonel Miller joined them. Maps and sensor readings covered the table. The nebula has protected us for generations, one council member said. It will continue to do so. The ships out there have technology, I recognize, Naira argued. New shield configurations designed to withstand the nebula's energy. They can't penetrate deeply yet, but given time, they will find a way in. Then we must prepare to defend ourselves, another member suggested. Colonel, Miller shook his head. You don't understand the firepower those ships carry. Even with your combined technology, you can't hope to fight them directly. A heavy silence fell over the room. The sanctuary that had survived for generations now faced its greatest threat. There is another option, Naira said finally. I could surrender myself. That's what they want most of all. No, Olivia said immediately. Several others voiced similar objections. It's the logical choice, Naira insisted. One life for the many. Typical royal martyrdom, Grace said with a snort. That's exactly what they expect. Samantha nodded in agreement. They'll destroy this place regardless. Your mother can't allow its existence to become known. Elder Kayla had been quiet, listening to everyone. Now she spoke. There is another way, one we have never considered before because the risk was too great, but now perhaps we have no choice. She activated a holographic display showing a star map. A point of light pulsed at its center. This is Centauri Prime, home of the Great, broadcasting hub. From there, a signal can be sent to every world in the known galaxy simultaneously. No power can block it. What would we broadcast? Colonel Miller asked. The truth, Kayla said simply. About the empires that rule the stars. About places like Haven that offer a different way. She looked at Naira. And most importantly, the sealed historical archives proving that humans and many other lesser species were deliberately held back from advancement by the Zevnari. Naira's eyes widened. How do you know about those archives? We have had many Zevnari join us over the centuries. Some were historians who brought forbidden knowledge with them. The plan they developed over the next days was bold to the point of insanity. The luminous crest, now upgraded with Haven technology, would break through the blockade. They would jump to Centauri Prime, access the broadcasting hub, and transmit the truth to the galaxy. It's a suicide mission, Colonel Miller warned. Even with the ship's enhancements, we'll be facing the combined forces of two powerful enemies. Then we need a small, skilled crew, Grace said. I'll pilot. I'll handle the medical and defensive systems, Samantha volunteered. I'll command the mission, Naira said. I know Confederacy protocols. I can get us past some of their defenses. And I'll prepare the broadcast, Olivia added. With help from Haven's historians, the night before their planned departure, Naira went to the arboretum built inside the luminous crest. Plants from Earth now grew alongside those from her homeworld and a dozen other planets. In this small space, different worlds thrived together, in harmony. She heard footsteps and turned to see Olivia entering the garden. I thought I'd find you here, Olivia said. I was thinking, Naira replied, about what happens if we succeed. We save Haven. We save Earth. We give other worlds a chance at freedom. Naira nodded. Yes, but for me it means the end of everything I was born to. If we succeed, my mother's empire falls. My birthright, my legacy, all of it gone. And if we fail, we die, Olivia said gently. But I think you found something worth more than an empire. Naira looked confused. What do you mean? Freedom, purpose, connection. Olivia hesitated before adding softly, love. The word hung in the air between them, a simple human word that held so much meaning. Why would a human ever choose me? Naira whispered in disbelief. Her silver-flecked eyes searched Olivia's face for deception or pity, and found neither. The same reason you chose us, Olivia answered, taking Naira's hand. Because sometimes the heart sees what we don't yet understand. The gesture bridged more than just the space between their bodies. It connected two worlds, two destinies. Naira felt the last of her old beliefs fall away, replaced by something both terrifying and wonderful. Something no Zevnari royal had ever been allowed to feel. The next morning, they said goodbye to the people of Haven. Elder Kayla gave them data crystals containing the historical archives and evidence of the sanctuary's existence. Return if you can, she told them, but if you cannot, know that your actions will live in our stories forever. The luminous crest rose from Haven's surface, its engines humming with new power. They had one advantage. Their enemies didn't know they were coming. The blockade expected them to stay hidden in the sanctuary. Shields at maximum, Samantha reported from her station. New configurations holding. Course laid in for the nebula's edge, Grace said from the pilot's seat. Ready when you are. Naira took the command chair, feeling both like her old self and someone entirely new. Take us out, Captain Sullivan. Maximum speed. The ship shot. Forward, racing through the red clouds of the nebula. On the sensors, they could see the enemy fleet spread out along the boundary, probing for ways to enter. They've spotted us, Colonel Miller warned as alerts flashed on his screen. Too late, Grace said with fierce concentration. Hitting the barrier in 3, 2, 1. The ship shuddered violently as they broke through the nebula's edge. Alarms blared as enemy vessels turned toward them. Incoming fire, Miller shouted. Evasive maneuvers, Naira ordered. Get us clear for the jump to hyperspace. Grace's hands flew over the controls. The ship spun and dove, avoiding the worst of the enemy fire. Confederacy command channels filled with shouts of surprise and orders to capture the princess's ship. Hyperdrive ready, Grace called. Jump, Naira commanded. The stars stretched into lines, and they were away. Behind them, the combined fleet scrambled to follow. They would be right behind. The journey to Centauri Prime took 3 days. 3 days of constant jumps, evasive maneuvers, and brief, terrifying moments in normal space while the engines recharged. Each time, more enemy ships were waiting for them. Finally, the blue-white star of Centauri Prime appeared on their view screen. Orbiting it was a massive space station, the broadcasting hub that connected all corners of the galaxy. The hub is Heavily defended, Nira warned as they approached. And by now they'll be expecting us. Then we'll give them something unexpected, Grace said with a grim smile. The plan they had developed was bold. Instead of trying to dock normally, they would use Haven technology to create a temporary phase shift. For a few seconds, the luminous crest would exist slightly out of normal space, just enough to pass through the hub's outer defenses. Ready for phase shift, Samantha announced. But we only have enough power for one attempt. Make it count, Nira said to Grace. The pilot nodded. Hold on to something, this will feel strange. She activated the phase drive. The ship seemed to turn inside out for a moment. Everyone's vision blurred. Nira felt like she was being pulled in 1,000 directions at once. Then they were through, inside the hub's defensive perimeter. Alarms were already sounding as the station detected their impossible entry. Security forces will be on their way, Miller warned. We need to move. Fast.